Welcome, everyone, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me every day and looking great in his BetSperts sweatshirt. How are you, Mr. Molitor?
Yeah, I got my green one on today so you can see through, but we're back. We're back, baby. We're ready to go. Let's go. Jeesh says, let's go. Leg Show Magazine says, thanks for the, I'm not going to try to say that name, Cove Ciaretto. It's like that we should go find that video of, who was it? Johnny McEnroe. Johnny McEnroe couldn't say Cecchinato. And this Italian guy just losing his mind on Twitter. So the guns do look huge because I'm wearing some shirts underneath here. But pretty fun day yesterday. I got a couple of my outrights moving on. I'm going to win a futures bet in the Summit League. I took two outrights. They're meeting in the final. Let's go Oral Roberts. Actually, I don't know which. I tried to balance it, I think. I'm not sure which one would net me more money. I'll have to go double check how I balance those two out. I thought it was pretty close. Otherwise, your tennis was great. Hibino didn't show up. Like the over and the over 2.5 sets were dead there. But the Zarazu-Akawa match was an under bet. And this is akin to like a 42-point first half in an under bet. And it was a 12 or 30, it went tiebreak. So it went tiebreak. So the only possible outcome to get your under home outside of just the game canceling because of rain or injury
needed a carb.
You needed a carb. You needed a breadstick, a 6-1, or a bagel 6-0. She went 6-0 in the second set, took control of the match, cashed that one. Obviously, I'm going to put this one back up. This is from yesterday. Don't try to bet this. You can't. Goff, Fonderosa, as usual, 3 sets. Even with there was a bagel in there, and it's obviously still got home with the over 21. That was a gorgeous little look. And then I believe Sevastova went 3 sets. That was an easy over as well. So 3 out of 5 with some plus money wins in there. Pretty nice looks.
Something like that. Not too bad.
And lots of WTAs. We continue in Dubai. I almost said Doha. That's where the men are. Dubai and Doha are playing tennis today. And Guadalajara, south of the border. I did have Oakland. Oakland too. I forgot about Oakland moving on yesterday. The Oakland Huggy Bears or something. I'm not sure what they are, but the Oakland, Michigan. They're not from the Bay Area. Yes, and you do need to start betting some of these tennis plays, especially golf overs. That's basically how I live my life. And somebody says, yes, she is a ATM machine. I cannot believe she is continually getting these prices for her overs and her over 2.5 sets. I don't know the last time she played 2 sets. More tennis today, more basketball. I actually did have a play today. I didn't even make a banner for it. Might have to do something quick. Either way, it is Northridge. Kind of a goofy one. I'll go through some of the other games. I'll pull up the win bet odds here. This is one I made like 3.5, 4. I'm going to have to go double check. But either way, I make Cal State Northridge sizable favorite here. It is on a neutral. This is the Big West tournament. This is the tournament preview I just put out this morning. I will be putting out a couple more later on this afternoon as we slide into, I think it's the Conference USA and one other one in the Southland have some tournament play-in games. So CSUN, Cal State University at Northridge, the Matadors, -2.5 on a neutral. I make this 4. They're not playing in Anaheim anymore. This is a tournament that's been played in Anaheim for a few years, which is like a 20-minute bus ride for a lot of these schools because like Northridge and all these LA schools are like right there. Irvine is right there. Long Beach is right there. So they are playing this out in the desert next starting today with some of the play-in games, and they're playing Long Beach. I do like Long Beach. I've liked them this year, but this is a bad matchup, and they just dismissed one of their best players. They're going to have some front court problems here. Dismissing, I'm still not sure what happened. They're coached by Dan Monson, who was the Gonzaga coach that kind of started the whole Gonzaga dynasty, really, before Mark Few took over up there. So he's a good guy. He actually coached at Minnesota for a little bit too. So he's a guy I trust his judgment. I can't imagine what this guy did. He's had a weird career. Michael Carter III. He got recruited. He played at Washington, transferred to South Dakota State, never played a game there, ended up out in the beach. Long Beach State does not have a mascot, so that kind of helps me in this sense. He ended up out there and he got dismissed after a game, no longer with the program. So they're going to have some depth issues in the play-in game here. This is one I like quite a bit. I'll touch on some other ones later, but this is my only real play for the day. And like I said, Conference USA and Southland previews out today for sure. Maybe more if I get time. I might just burn the midnight oil and skip supper, make a few extra previews tonight because we are starting to get a lot of these rolling on top of each other. Obviously, the ACC starts today. I don't do the ACC. I don't do any of the Big Six. If you want an ACC preview, you're going to find a million of them. In fact, today is the day where content will roll out on the actual BetSperts app for iOS, Android tomorrow. It's already been on the website, and I know there's another guy. I might go find him right now. I know he's been doing some writing on some of the college basketball. He's done a few previews as well. So maybe if I find if he does one for the ACC here, I'll probably just retweet it. And obviously,
worst case, check out our buddies Jeff Goodman and Rob Dowster. I'm sure they'll probably.
Oh yeah, no, those kids, yeah, they live, breathe basketball. They have a lot of information. Another good one would be a guy I follow on Twitter, Moneyline Parlays. He puts out, I think it's just ML Parlays on Twitter. I'm gonna find him. Go look for him. He puts previews out as well. His are really good, and he does all the conferences. So, and then somebody Leg Shows Magazine says Gonzaga first half -7.5. I did tickle the -10 yesterday for a few bucks because I said it when I went over it. The last time those two teams played, they were up by like 25 at half, and sure enough, same second verse, same as the first. Gonzaga dominated. Did not cover the second half line though. Late dunk gave them the cover in the second half. So with that, sorry, not a lot of plays again, but it's that time of year where we don't have a ton of games. I'm very sad that we're not having some of the smaller tournaments like the CBI because that's where I made some money in previous years. But for today, just the Matadors. What about you, Alex? Tennis? Was golf playing?
Going back to the well. The NBA is still very quiet. There's, I haven't seen any lines quite yet for tomorrow's games, but curious to see what some of the stuff settles. We will actually have a couple NBA games to at least talk about. I don't know if we'll be betting on them. It's hard to bet on these things kind of when they come back from a long break. So we'll see how that goes. But thankfully, we have tennis. And I guess, Andy, I'll ask you kind of covertly here. Should we start with it or finish with it?
I'll finish with it. Finish with a bang.
All right. Then we'll start in Guadalajara. These matches are starting. Let me see the first one here. We'll start with Leonie Kung. That's going to start at 3 p.m. Eastern, so noon on the other side of the country. Leona Kung, a nice young upcoming player. She's playing Nina Stojanovic, another player that I like quite a bit. This is going to be a fun match to watch, but I don't understand why either player should really be plus 120 or greater. I take a look at this match. I have it as a pick 'em, minus 110 both way if I was going to hang a line. So some value here on Kung as a small underdog. I like, again, that she had to come through qualifying here a little bit. This will be Stojanovic's first match on these courts. So a couple things kind of adding up as well as the edge on the price there. So we'll start with an underdog, Andy.
That's where you make your money in tennis, baby. Underdog prices, especially in a coin flip match.
That's right.
What about some favorites? You got any favorites? Seems like there's
put a whole bunch of
prohibitive favorites here.
There is, in this tournament, we've got a few women that are, kind of markedly better than their opposition here in the first round. And some of these smaller tournaments, you get things like local wild cards. Nadia Podoroska, someone that's really fun to bet on, is being priced in the minus 600 to minus 650 range. I would have this closer to minus 900, even minus 1,000 against Juliana Almost. Again, a local wild card would not be in this tournament. Not even sure she would try to qualify for this tournament. So a prohibitive favorite there. And I think that, we look at some of these tennis lines, people like to bet some of those underdogs as they get to be big prices. So you do actually find value sometimes on favorites, even at these huge numbers. The next piece that we'll put in there, Katie McNally.
Yeah, you get your long shot bias. Like people see that massive number and be like, should somebody ever be this big of a dog in a tennis match? And the answer is yes. Like we've seen this. The only time these cash is like we go back to that Marrakesh. I always think of that was it Marrakesh, where there was a
Probably.
couple players that showed up, played some local wild cards, and they essentially lost on purpose because they had flights to catch. Like that's usually the only way you're going to catch one of these really big dogs. For the most part, there are people betting these because it's a big fat number in a tennis match where anything could happen, I suppose. But you can find some value when it's just a local wild card like this.
Yeah, you're usually looking for a situation where they're playing a higher ranked player, like you said, someone kind of looking ahead to next week. All three of the women that I've put together here, I think, have their eyes on making a deep run and trying to win here. So no problems there for me on that angle, but it's definitely something to take into consideration. Katie McNally, the young American, is going to be our next piece. She's around minus 250. I'm seeing against Katie Volnitz. Again, just a class difference here. I have this in the minus 300s. So happy to put that on top. And then Layla Annie Fernandez, one of the better young and upcoming players, the Canadian. She's up to minus 300. I think she was in the minus 250 or so range when I put this together. Still like her. I have her price closer, like minus 325. So I'm still a little value at minus 300, but I have all three of these put together. I like the money lines. Might go back and sprinkle some of the spreads, but you have some big numbers, minus 4.5, minus 5.5. So I'm going to stay away from that and instead, put together all the money lines here.
I get you. Is that it? That's all for the day?
No,
doesn't seem like it should be all.
It's, people like overs, and there is that tournament in Dubai. It's a little tough doing some of the Dubai stuff for the show. Again, I'll put out any messages on BetSperts and try to get that stuff out there because some of those lines are still coming up. But we saw earlier in the show, we talked about somebody that we really, really like quite a bit. Money Mike, I think, kind of hit the nail on the head. So what do you say, Andy? Let's go back to the well here. Coco Gauff is playing tennis again.
Just going to keep giving the same price. Like, if it's, again, really, the difference in level is negligible between Martinkova and what, was it Fonderosa? Who'd she play yesterday?
Vondrousova.
Vondrousova I cannot say Vondrousova right. Actually, I'd probably rate Vondrousova better.
Yeah, Vondrousova is significantly better. I mean, if they played each other, she'd be a heavy favorite. Martinkova is, I don't know, I guess the term that you would use, like from an American sports perspective, would be kind of like a journeywoman, if you will. A very solid WTA level player. She shows up in some of the lower level events, qualifies for some of these bigger things every now and then. Strong has the game and the mental fortitude basically to play with young players like this. She is not going to be scared of Coco Gauff, has a strong enough serve here. So, again, as I look at this, I would hang a total, probably a juicy 21, a cheap 21.5, something like that. Try to see if I could draw some under 21.5, bets, feeling good about that. But 20.5, they hung it at standard juice, minus 110. So going to scoop that up. If it's 21, minus 110 or better, that's fine too. And the over 2.5 sets here, again, that's a little bit of a smaller play. There is a big difference in quality here. Gauff, more times than not, is going to win this match in 2 sets, but at plus 175, again, I'd have this closer to like the plus 150, plus 155 range. So still some value there. Again, probably a half unit there on the 2.5 sets. And then if you can get the 20.5, that's probably like a unit and a half. If it's 21, just a unit.
I dig it. No, I'm fine. I'm going back to the well. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I like tennis. And I like something going on tonight because, again, there's no NBA. It's not like, I don't bet NBA. I still watch NBA. Like, I kind of pay attention. I'm a little disenchanted after that guy couldn't kiss the rim. But for the most part, I will start getting into a little more NBA, especially once the tournament's done and the playoffs roll around, because I do love that part of it. But like I mentioned before, we will go check out some of the prices today. I think there's more games. There was only 11 yesterday. I feel like there's like 15 today. I just mentioned I don't get too deep into the ACC stuff. So like the Pitt game, the Duke game, I have no idea. Bet Duke, like they have to win, right? They don't have to cover, but certainly they're looking to get a few wins here to get into the tournament. Iona has been bet out to 6.5. This is a goofy one. I saw someone mention this earlier in the chat that they bet on Iona. It was Birdie with a bunch of numbers after his name. So I'm looking, and Jesus Christ, Kyle, there's a lewd comment. I'm gonna have to ban that guy from the chat. Jeepers cats. But Iona is a weird team. They have had 4 different breaks this season for COVID. I don't even know if it was always them. They just have had like 4 breaks. The coach got it. It's obviously, Coach Patino went up there, took that job. It's a goofy spot for them. Quinnipiac is pretty bad, but I just don't know about Iona. They were supposed to be an okay team this year, possibly even like, a top-ish team in the MAAC, but they haven't got to practice very much. Like legitimately have all those times they had breaks, they weren't really allowed to practice either. So kind of a weird spot for them there. This is, of course, on a neutral in the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. So no home court advantage for anyone there. And also, if you live in New Jersey, sorry, you likely can't bet that game. Sucks. All those MAAC games you can't bet. You can bet on Cal State Northridge. I did talk about that. Still available at -2.5. There were some -2s this morning. If you can find a 2, that'd be great. McNeese, Southeast, Louisiana. I probably won't touch too much on this because I am going to be doing a preview for that. The Southland here coming up soon. Another ACC game. Bryant. Well, that number's not right. That's certainly off because I think just look at the money line. I'm gonna have to yell at the coders again.
Yeah.
Like that's out to like 7. Bryant opened 4.5. That got slammed. That's up to 7. I don't know if you want to bet that anymore. Maybe there'll be some resistance. It goes back down to 6.5, 6. I did see some pretty smart people take it on the open. Bryant was the team that ended up having a player get injured, had some people out for COVID tracing. It went into this tournament shorthanded. They're now in the finals against Mount St. Mary's, who upset Wagner in the semis. So Bryant will be at full strength. Bryant is the best team in the league. Bryant should be a 7-point favorite. So if you got an early number on that, good luck. Otherwise, I'd probably stay away from that right now. I found some 4.5 yesterday. Drexel, Elon. I'm not even going to talk about.
Go Dragons.
Go Dragons, I guess. Like Dragons should be favored here. Elon has had a weird run. I had Northeastern and Hofstra. This is another one where I had 2 teams in the semifinals, Northeastern and Hofstra. Neither of them could get it done. I just needed one or the other. Hofstra was favored. Northeastern maybe was a slight. I think that one was pretty close. So fair play by Drexel. I'll be cheering for Drexel here. I think they get it done. If this actually gets bet down, if there's some Elon money that comes in, I could probably make a case for a short price on Drexel for certain. Oakland, that's another one where I should just keep doubling down on this team. But Oakland is my outright. I have in the finals. I have them 10-1. Half tempted to hedge, but I'm team never hedge, so I'm leaving that one alone. Manhattan Fairfield's a weird deal. Fairfield's missing some players too, I think. They're going to be short in the front court. They're missing a guard, so this is another ugly one. Again, New Jersey bettors can't even bet this, but I probably make a little value on Manhattan on a shorter price. Rice, Southern Miss is a Conference USA game I'll get to later. Cal Poly is legitimately horrible. I think they're like 2-19. They're a really, really bad team. Cal State's not that much better. I can't justify laying that many points on a neutral, but maybe look for a spot. If Cal Poly comes out and scores some points, maybe a Cal State Fullerton live look. Here's another matchup with really bad teams. Houston Baptist, Incarnate Word in the Southland. I'll get to that in my preview. This one is a real beauty. Oral State, North Dakota State, Oral State is something I'm going to have to say. Again, Oral Roberts, those are the 2 where I do have outrights. They're meeting in the finals. Beautiful position. I'm happy about it. If I did have to bet this, though, I still make value on Oral Roberts. Like my number makes Oral Roberts a little bit of a favorite. So I think this should be flipped. It's not a huge edge, but if you felt like betting on Oral tonight, that would be your way to go. And then, of course, the late one. Gonzaga, somebody in the chat, I believe it was those Pretty Legs. What was it? The Leg Show magazine said Gonzaga -7.5 first half. Maybe not another bad look. Like they do have come out strong. I think they're just kind of let's get out to a big lead so we can coast in the second half.
I'm surprised that's so close to just half the total game number.
Well, that is kind of surprising, all things considered. Yesterday, they were like 17.5, and first half was 10. So if you can find a 7.5, that's probably a pretty good number. Brigham Young's tough. Brigham Young's a top 50 team in the nation. They're going to the tournament. They will be an at-large bid, but, I mean, they've still got the tar beat out of them twice by Gonzaga. So likely more of the same from the Zags. Maybe they do just try to get out to a big lead and then coast in the second half. Look forward to a major tournament coming up. And yeah, Money Mike is letting Kyle in the chat know about his wife. So that is all I have. We'll continue to just kind of go through some of these games. Like I said, I just have Cal State Northridge for tonight. Alex has some pretty good tennis bets. Hopefully, again, Goff Martinkova over and over sets.
So Goff keeps going.
Kung is down in Guadalajara.
And
then the Podoroska McNally Fernandez. I'm going to put this one back up in case people forgot that. A fun parlay from some favorites that probably should be much bigger favorites. Podoroska, McNally, and Fernandez. Katie McNally. I even knew someone's first name.
And there was a question in the chat about that. Why not have your dog pick? He just gave him the parlay. Certainly an option. If I feel like I have an edge on stuff and I'm trying to get some more down, sometimes I will take stuff and, start to round robin and start to parlay it together. But, given, essentially what I've already laid out on the underdog and Kung versus what I've already laid out on the parlay, maybe I'll have something kind of for fun to put it together, but I don't see any reason to kind of add any more stake in that way, if that makes sense, Andy.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, if you want to give, and everybody, this is not financial advice. Anybody who wants to, your stakes and your betting is your choice. Do whatever you want. Parlay everything we just said.
Yeah, round robin.
Do it all. Round robin and shit. I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. Let's get wild. Do it over at WinBet.
Imagine if we parlayed Goff over 2.5 sets with all of our bets for the last week.
I know it. I should have been doing that. So, yeah.
You wouldn't be on the show anymore.
It's funny because
we'd actually be in a casino that we own.
We'd be on an island. It's funny because I did. We were looking at the brackets from 2 years ago as we were doing some staging on the site, and I kept seeing this game that looked really familiar. And I went back and looked, and I did a round robin, the money line for all the 12 seeds in the tournament 2 years ago, and 3 out of 4 cashed. One couldn't be bothered to get close, and it was the third one. So if it would have been the first 3, I'd have been able to hedge. That'd have been nice. But you hit a lot of parlays.
You're not a gardener. You'd have let it ride.
I know I would have. I let a lot of the 2s and a couple of the 3s cash. So some nice parlays. One of the underdogs was Liberty plus 240. So that was a beautiful thing. And it was just getting the juices flowing for March Madness here. So with that, again, thanks to our sponsor. Don't forget to sign up in Michigan, Colorado, and New Jersey. $1,000 in Michigan. That's you guys would be nuts not to take advantage of that. Play some. You can bet it on anything. Free bets you can do almost anything, I think. So, with that, thanks for hanging. Thanks for chilling. Thanks for the comments, everyone but Kyle. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Probably talk a little golf with the players starting. The NBA returns. More conference tournaments. More tennis. More picks, more winners, more fun. See you then.